The format for this meeting is a 10-minute speaker, our secretary announcements, a coffee and snack break, and our main speaker. Our first speaker tonight is Justin.
All right, my name is Justin. I'm an alcoholic. And do I have a timer somewhere, or I got to up front and center? Thanks, dude. And my sobriety date is February 20th, 2011. And I'm an alcoholic, man. And I also like slamming heroin and taking copious amounts of LSD. And but alcohol does something for me spiritually that drugs could never touch, right? There's something that when I drink alcohol, specifically alcohol, I stand a little taller and I can look people in the eyes and I'm just like in tune. I'm on the, walking hand in hand with my creator. I'm like just, there's something about it. And, I started drinking and getting loaded young. I was 9 years old. And I come from a family of alcoholics, right? Like my sister's been sober 16, 17 years. My mother's been sober like 36, I think. And this, the Smith family, as far back as you can see, it's like prison, suicide, just tragic alcoholism. And and then there's my dad, who's like a complete normie. Poor dude. He's just like surrounded by this insanity all the time, He's like the type of guy that's. I remember I came home one time and I was just hammered and just and he was like, "Why do you do this?" In earnest, like, why can you not stop? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. And that was the truth. Like I didn't know why. I do not know why I cannot stop drinking alcohol. And the first meeting that I went to, thank God, I was open enough and the first few months that I was newly sober, I could barely read, right? So the fact that I had heard the doctor's opinion was a miracle. And that was the first time I had heard somebody explain what happens when I drink. It doesn't have anything to do with the amount that I drink or the way that I drink it or who I drink with or what I do. It's the way that I react to alcohol. I react abnormally. Normal people can stop drinking. When I take a drink, all of my thoughts and the fiber of my being is sucked into that drink. I cannot stop thinking about it. I don't know when I'm going to stop. I can't stop on my own accord. Terrible things happen, consequences all day long. And that's not normal, right? Like I'm actually allergic to alcohol. My body reacts differently than a normal person's. And I didn't know that. And I started getting loaded young, and I just ran it as hard and fast as I could for as long as I could. And, the last days of my drinking, it was like February 19th, 2011. And I was living in my first apartment, which was a 93 Mercedes in the back. I was sitting in the back. And I don't know if you've lived in a car before, but the seat belt buckles, the thing that stick out, they're such a pain in the ass. There's no way you can get comfortable and it's terrible. But I would just drink around the clock. I would just get loaded and I would drink. And I would just pass out and I would wake up and do it again. And there was some lady that was like leaving sandwiches on my car, like on the front of the car, and I was like, I got it made. This is it, this is sick. And everything I could ever want or need, and it's funny to say that now, but it's so sad to think about. And what happened was I blacked out that night for whatever reason, and I called my mom. I'm a mama's boy. I love my mom, and I'm like, hey, I need some money, I miss you, because I hadn't seen him in my family in forever, and she was like, oh yeah, okay, cool, you need some money, well, I'm going to pick you up, and she did what a good AA does and took me to a meeting, and she took me to the Alano Club, the Hermosa Club. It was a retreads meeting. And mind you, I'm in a full blackout, completely blacked out. And I came to at the retreads meeting like this, and everyone was staring at me because whoever the secretary was such a prick. He called on me to share. It's like, kid, I'm clearly drunk. And this guy's like, yeah, let's call on the kid that's super wasted right now and have him share. And I came to out of a blackout, and there people were like, keep coming back, kid. You're going to be good, And I was like, whoa, and like as soon as I got my bearings and I realized what was happening, it was this intense wave of hope that I had not felt in a very long time. And the desperation and like horror of being in active alcoholism is terrible. It sucks, you know. And I hadn't felt hope or peace or comfort. Like it was so comforting being around all these kooks in this meeting and just like being, you know, they're like, it was the most comforting thing I had felt in my whole life, you know. And, you know, Alcoholics Anonymous is the only thing that I've found that has kept me sober for an extended period of time, right? Like I can stop drinking for like a week or 2 weeks, but something happens in my mind where, you know, I start getting stuff and I'm feeling good and I'm like looking good, I'm all tan or whatever, you know, I'm like, yeah, I have a job now. And I go, yeah, I can drink. Why not? I'm doing great. And every single time when I drink, it gets worse. The consequences are worse. The spiritual sickness gets stronger and stronger. And I cannot stop. The grip, the death grip of alcohol gets stronger and stronger every time. And Alcoholics Anonymous, working the steps in specific, are the only thing that's the only thing that I found that has kept me sober for an extended period of time, you know. And when I was new, I'm so grateful I got plugged in with some dudes that knew exactly what was wrong with me. And, you know, I came in and I'm just like, well, what about this? You know, like as soon as I can start talking, I'm asking questions and like talking shit about stuff, right? It's like I start forming opinions when I have like 60 days and I'm like, why is this guy sharing after the timer went off? What's that, you know? And the guys would just be like, you know what, doesn't matter. How about you go shake that guy's hand and tell him he had a good share? I'm like, okay, you know, it sounds stupid, but I guess I'll do it. And, you know, I would just come with all these problems and worries, so many worries, you know, legal problems, money, this, family stuff. And every single time they were like, hey, dude, why don't you just fold the chairs and put them away? You know, we'll talk about it later. And while I was putting the chairs away and I'm focusing on something and I'm talking to people and I'm doing this, I forget about my problems, you know. I'm out of myself. And service work, especially in early sobriety, really kept me in Alcoholics Anonymous, you know. And step work in a connection with a higher power has kept me in the long haul, you know. I had to find a God. I had to find a higher power, you know. And if you're new tonight and that's like, you're like cringing at the word God, it's like, dude, I get it. I totally get it. But I will tell you, without it, you're not going to stay sober, you know. Like I had so many preconceived notions about what God was and my experience growing up with the church and with whatever, right? It doesn't matter, ad infinitum. We come in here with extreme prejudice against everything. And all that does is block me out from the sunlight of the Spirit. And, you know, I had to learn over time that the things that I thought I knew were absolutely true are absolutely not true, right? The ideas that I have about a higher power are absolutely not true. It just has to be something bigger than you, right? That's it. It's as simple as that. Because another section of my alcoholism is extreme selfishness and self-centeredness. It's the root of my problem. I can't stop thinking. All I think about is myself all day long, you know, and that's why service work absolutely helps. It gets me out of myself. I think about myself too much. I don't think about how I affect others. I don't think about the things when I'm trying so hard to get something that I want and the people that I'm knocking out of the way and hurting on my way to get it. I don't think about those people. Alcoholics Anonymous and the steps, and especially sponsoring people, has taught me how to really think about other people and consider other people and love other people. I didn't know how to love other people. You know, if you're new tonight and this sounds like a lot, don't worry. Like, all you have to do is find a sponsor, start working the steps, and stay in meetings. It's that simple. It's not more complex than that. It's not like there's no secret. There's no key we're going to give you. There's no advanced class in AA. There's no graduation. There's no, like, placard. You know, like, this is it, right? The things that I do now at 12 years sober are the exact same things I did when I was 10 days sober, 1 day sober. It does not change at all. And what a beautiful thing, right? I don't have to go home and study I don't have to do homework. I don't have to keep up on my certifications to stay sober, right? It's like I just have to show up and be of service. It's very, very simple, but at times very, very difficult, right? Family stuff, you know, and you stay around Alcoholics Anonymous long enough, like you're gonna know people that are gonna die, you know? It's an absolutely deadly disease, and like we're lucky, we've beat the odds. Like today, I'm sober. It's an absolute miracle that I am not drunk, I'm not dead, I'm not high, I'm not whatever it is. Like I was destined for that, right? Like every fiber of my being was built for that, right? My brain is wired to die from alcoholism. And the fact that I'm not dead, in here tonight with you guys who are also not dead and sober and like staying, you know, in a meeting, right? In a meeting is a miracle. And, you know, I love Alcoholics Anonymous. If you're new, just get a sponsor and follow direction. So that's all I got. Thanks.
Okay, now our main speaker will share his. Oh, I'm sorry. So we're going to recite the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Now our main speaker will share his or her experience, strength, and hope with us. Please join me in welcoming Anna M.
My name's Anna, and I'm an alcoholic. Thanks for shouting out. I saw those little cookie bags that you guys were all eating out of, and I was like, can I have one of those in case I barf up here? Woo! First of all, I want to thank my friend Justin for showing up, for answering the call today at like 4 o'clock. I felt like, you know, listening to that, I was like, hey, man, we're done. I've heard all I needed to hear. He's a rock star. I love that guy. He and I have the same sponsor. We're sobriety brother and sister, and he just means a lot to me. So thanks for showing up. I want to thank Dylan for secretarying the meeting. I want to thank Chris for asking me to speak tonight. Wherever you are, Chris, thank you. It's an honor to speak at a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and especially this meeting. And, there's a lot of people in this meeting that I've never seen, which doesn't mean anything. But I'm just going to share a little bit of the history of this meeting. You know, when Chris texted me, he was like, hey, can you speak at Martyrs on Saturday? I sent the emoji back with, like, the shocked face. And he was like, why does everybody send that back? And I was like, because it's fucking Martyrs. Sorry. Hey, Zoomers. Nice to see the ones that are on there. Sorry for the YouTubers that just heard me drop the F-bomb. If you're offended, it's probably going to happen again. But the history of this meeting is like, it's deep, man. This is like a big meeting. This was a huge meeting for people that are like AA icons, that are circuit speakers, like Sandy Beach, Earl Hightower, Jack Grisham, for those with all the black on tonight. You know, maybe you guys know, lead singer of TSOL. I mean, there's some heavy hitters that have come here. And I was actually the secretary. I was telling Dylan, I was a secretary and I was like 2 years sober. And every time I came up to do the announcements, I wanted to puke. I was just so intimidated by the level of sobriety that came here to hear the message of Alcoholics Anonymous. And so I just want to do it justice, man. I just want to be up here to tell you guys a little bit about me. I'm not an expert in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm just a member. I'm a good standing member in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I believe in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's what I'm here to share about. So I'm going to give you a little bit of me. The reason that I'm dressed like this is because I have a tremendous amount of respect for the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, because it saved my life. It saved my son's life. It saved my father's life. We're still working on the other one, my other son. We got hope. Hopefully I can give a little bit of that to you tonight. If you're here tonight and you're new, for the 4 people that stood up, welcome. Welcome to the new you. And for those that didn't stand up, welcome, because that's how I came in. My sobriety date is January 15, 2006, so I have 17 and some change, which is baffling to me. I'd like to thank my family that came to support me that isn't in the program, but that has walked with me and has suffered and seen me suffer. When I came to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous the first time, I was 18 years old. And I had grown up in rooms of Narcotics Anonymous because my dad had been sober for about 5 years before I was born. And I'm pretty sure he met my mom in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous because there wasn't a lot of Narcotics Anonymous around then. And I don't know how they hooked up because my mom literally was crazy, paranoid schizophrenic, and alcoholic, and could not stay sober. And so my dad left when I was about 2, but I would see him often and ended up moving in with him later on after I turned 11. But in the beginning, like living in that environment of terror, I'll call it, with instability and violence and all kinds of assaults, like I was terrified to be a girl. All the things that I saw that were female were abused, including myself. And there was no way that I was going to be vulnerable enough to like let those things happen to me continuously. And so I started putting on these, I'm going to call it false armor. And I didn't know that then. A lot of the terminology that I'll use tonight is stuff that I've learned while I've been here in the past 17 years. And it's not like the psycho babble, mumble, jumble stuff. Like, I think that there's a lot of confusion that happens. You know, this is just me, one alcoholic talking to another. And the things that I've learned since I've been sober are, I mean, I am genuinely indebted to the program of Alcoholics Anonymous for showing me how to have a different way of life and how to discover who I really am. So when I first got here, when I was 18, it was because I didn't want to be like my mom. And I didn't go to Hermosa Beach. I lived in Hermosa Beach. I had a great time. I love to get loaded. Let me just tell you that. My getting loaded story is nothing spectacular. I'm just like a garden variety drunk. I have a very different experience than Justin. I was not sleeping in a car. I did not have that experience. I was not desperate and willing when I got here. I just didn't want to be like my mom because my mom was scary and I didn't want to turn out like her. And so I went to Birch Street, the Birch Alano Club, because they were serious. They were like thumping the big book and they were like not happy-go-lucky like all the pretty people down in Hermosa. They were like serious about their sobriety. And I got sober there and I stayed sober for 5 years and I was dedicated to the program. I was in H&I and I had sponsees and we had dances all the time and we went to like campouts and I mean, it was really fun. It was so much fun and I had an amazing time, except that I failed to grow and enlarge my spiritual life. And what happened was that, you know, the things that we talk about in steps 6 and 7, or the things that, you know, if you have a sponsor, might point out to you every once in a while, you know, that 5th column of the 4th step, where I'm looking at those character defects, you know, those started to pop up and I wasn't vigilant about them. And I started to act out in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. And if you're here tonight, you know, and it's really hard when you first get sober, like I tell people that I work with, you know, you don't know how to behave any differently. Like, you're not going to come to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous and all of a sudden, like, you know, be as pure as snow and, like, be, you know, doing the right thing, lickety-split. That is not my experience. Man, I did not, I did not behave in a way that like represented Alcoholics Anonymous. And what ended up happening was I got real uncomfortable in the rooms. And all of a sudden I needed to not go to meetings because I was so uncomfortable because of the behaviors that were happening. And I stopped going to Alcoholics Anonymous, and then I turned on Alcoholics Anonymous. And Alcoholics Anonymous became a cult. And I told people that. I was sober for 5.5 years. And all of a sudden, and take cakes, H&I, of service, all of a sudden AA was a cult because they were trying to tell me how to run my life. I can justify my own thinking, I mean, all day long. I don't need very much. I believe my own thinking is the problem. And when I start to do that and I'm not checking in with somebody else, I'm in trouble. So I left the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I knew that I couldn't start drinking right away because that's what alcoholics do. And I'm not an alcoholic, don't you know? So I started smoking weed. Now, Justin, he started early. I started a little late in life. I started when I was 11, not 9. And I was terrified of drinking because of my mom. So I started smoking weed with the guy that lived next door in Lawndale, who was super cool. His name was Jimmy. And I loved Jimmy. He was hot. I was 11. Okay? Let me just tell you that. All these little cues, right? Any 11-year-old that is smoking pot with the guy next door who is probably closer to 16, 17, 18, yeah, something's up there. I didn't know any better. I thought he was great. Back in the day, you know, he had this in his bedroom, because that's where we hung out. He had this line that went from one corner of the room to the other. And on this line were all these little, like, different colored feathers. There'd be like 3 of them on a piece of leather string with a little thing at the end that was called a roach clip. We used to actually use those to smoke joints, and thought we were really cool because it had these feathers. It was awesome. I mean, I really thought that was it. I thought he was the bee's knees. He had this little side hustle I thought was so cool. He was an entrepreneur. He would always show up with these bicycles and like take them apart and paint them different colors and put them back together. I just thought, man, this guy's on it. Like he wants, you know, little did I know that those were your bikes that he was stealing and painting and putting until he was in the back of a cop cart, you know, being taken away to youth authority camp. And so, yeah, that's how I started. And I was terrified of drinking, but I liked smoking weed. I thought it was it was so great. I love the feeling. I love the feeling of not having to worry anymore. I didn't have the experience that Justin had where I felt a little bit taller. I definitely had a spiritual experience. And I really did. I do believe that. I do believe that I had some spiritual experiences, like, you know, with the things that I was doing, with the drugs that I was choosing to take and the people that I was hanging out with. I was always that one that was like, God, are we going to go deep again? My friends would just be like, fuck, man, can you just lighten up? And I was like, yeah, man, but this is so cool. So when I was 18, I got sober for 5 years, and then you guys became a cult. And I started smoking pot again, which led me back to drinking. And for 14 years, I was out doing the deal. During that time, I'd been married. That poor man. He actually gave me a cake when I was like 5 years sober. And then like shortly after that, I went out. And then I actually smoked with him. The first time I smoked, it was like New Year's Eve. And we smoked a joint. And I remember thinking, oh, fuck, what did I do? Why did I marry this guy? It wasn't about smoking pot. It was like, I'll never smoke with you again. Like, you're terrible. And because he was just like depressive, and like I just was like, oh man, this is a buzzkill. And from that moment, I was off and running, and it took me 14 years to come back to the program. And you know, I mean, I was just so arrogant. I tell this story all the time. God love him. His name's Jerry Redmond. You know, I love Jerry. He's such a good dude, and he was best friends with my oldest son's father, who I met in the program when I was about 2 months sober. I got pregnant with my first son. I was 19 years old, and I wasn't going to have him. And my sponsor was like, why don't you just put that thought on hold for a minute? Like, why don't you just wait and see? And back then I had to take a blood test. It was like a Friday night, and I took the blood test, and I told my dad, I was like, well, if I'm pregnant, you're not going to be a grandfather. And through grace, that weekend I found myself in a lot of different conversations, not telling anybody what was going on, but it seemed like every conversation that I had was about children. People that didn't have children and wanted them, people that did have them and didn't want them, people that couldn't have them. It was all these. And by Monday, I called my dad and I found out I was pregnant. And I was like, well, I guess you're going to be a grandfather. That was not a conscious thought that I made myself. And that's where Kyle came from. So Jerry was Kyle's father, not Jerry Redmond, another Jerry Butler. And Jerry Redmond were best friends. And they would hang out, and we would all go to these dances together. So Jerry Redmond and I were very close. And when I left the program, I would see Jerry Redmond, because I would roller skate down on the Strand all the time. And I'd be like, hey, what's up, Jerry? And he's like, hey, how's it going? And I was like, man, you can take your hat off to me. Like, I got it. Like, that part in the book. If that doesn't make sense to you, go get a book and start reading it. It's in the big book, and it talks about, like, if you can drink like a gentleman, we take our hats off to you. And I flat out said that to him. And he was like, wow, and never felt judgment from him. Not one time did I ever think he was like shit talking me or taking my inventory or anything. He was just such a love. And when I came back after my second DUI to the Hermosa Beach Alano Club, who do you think the first person I saw was? And do you know what Jerry Redmond did? He saw me walk up, and all he did was this. Because he knew. If you're here tonight and you don't know if you're an alcoholic, don't worry about it. It's going to get you. It's a progressive disease. It talks about that in the big book. It is not for the faint of heart. Like, you're not going to outrun it. You are not going to self-knowledge it. It doesn't matter how long you've been here, how many meetings you've gone to, how many people you work with, how much H&I you've done. If you have the disease of alcoholism and you're sitting in this room at 8:27 on a fucking Saturday night, I don't know. Like, I don't know many people except for my sister who's here to support me and her boyfriend that aren't alcoholics that are sitting in this room right now. Saturday night is another holy night for a drunk. Right? It's the weekend. If you have the disease of alcoholism, it's been my experience that it'll keep coming for you. And that as long as you want to take to dance with that gorilla, my sponsor likes to say, it's not over. It's like making love to a gorilla. You're not done until the gorilla's done. Right? Like, you're not getting out of it. So have fun. Do your thing. I had a great time. When I came back, I had gotten 2 DUIs. The first one, by the way, welcome if you're here, on a nudge from the judge or a court card. I signed my first court card, just letting the cat out of the bag. They don't really check those signatures. If you want to do that, go for it. Again, if you have the disease, it's coming for you. You can sign those court cards. You will find yourself back in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous if you're lucky, right? A lot of us don't make it back. I did. And the second time, because it was the second one, they gave me 18 months sentence to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I couldn't sign those because there was a lot of them. And I had to go to the driver's benefit program. And there was a guy there who's gone, but his name was Lonnie Gibbs. And Lonnie was an old black heroin junkie from San Pedro. And he was my counselor, and we would sit in these rooms, and, I just didn't know. I just wasn't sure. And I waited till the very last minute, and then I went to the Hermosa Beach Alano Club. And I would say, my name's Anna, and I honestly don't know. I don't know if I'm an alcoholic or not, because I wasn't willing to be a hypocrite. I'm one of those alcoholics that doesn't really lie a lot. I had, again, this armor on, and the armor that I had taken on was, do you have a problem with me? Let's talk. We can go outside and talk about it right now. That was me. Like, I thought I was all that. And I didn't care what you thought of me. If you have a problem with me, that's your problem. You want to talk about it? Let's go. I don't have a lot of words, but I got two fists. You know, that was my whole game because I was terrified. I was terrified of somebody finding out about those other parts of myself that I didn't even know about. So I came back to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I started going to the Hermosa Beach Alano Club. And I'll never forget, I was in the big book study on the Wednesday night in the back room. And I went to that meeting because there were some hot guys that went to that meeting. I was like, let me just sit in this room for a minute. And they started reading chapter 3. And all of a sudden, I heard it. I heard. And I started crying because it was that moment of like that first step, right? Where I conceded to my innermost self that I was the alcoholic. There was a shift that happened. I didn't know it at that time, but I felt it. I didn't know what I felt. I just knew that I felt something, and I started crying. And from that moment until this moment, a lot of things have happened. You know, a lot of things have happened in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of. One of them was being secretary of this meeting. You know, it's a really great honor. Justin talked about being of service. Man, I got into service big time. I had a commitment at every meeting I went to because I had a hard time getting into meetings. I was the mother of two. Between the time that I had Kyle and left AA the first time, I had met another guy. I was a bartender at Texas Lucy's in Torrance. That was so fun. It's fucking such a great place, man. Cowboy chaps, assless, you know, frilly panties, super fun. Oh my God, I have some great stories about that place before I got sober. It was wonderful. I honestly, I had such a good time. If you're in this room and you have not had a great time, even when you first started getting loaded, I am so sorry, man. Because I honestly, like, I'm tapped out. You know what I mean? Like, I had a good time and I had a good run. And I worked at Texas Lucy's and I met this guy, and he had given me my 5-year cake. And we got married after I left the program. And yeah, this is what happens. I'm a nurse now. I'm just going to spill the beans right now. I've been up since 3 o'clock in the morning because I have a 3:30 a.m. call time. And I got off at 6 and I ran home and took a shower. So my brain is not always there with me. So putting sentences together sometimes, it's a miracle, actually, that I've done this well. So far, I've talked for like 20 minutes without having that moment. So anyways, Jamie, that's my youngest son's father, we got married, and I got pregnant, and we had Hamilton. And Hamilton is something else, man. That kid he's a rock star. I will tell you a little bit about Hamilton right now. It always gets spicy right now. A lot of people in this room know Hamilton. Oh, fuck, I forgot to bring his pictures. I was going to show you guys. A lot of people know Hamilton because Hamilton and Kyle grew up in the program. By the time I came back to the program, I was in nursing school. And I was working at Little Company of Mary. And I was not married to Hamilton's dad anymore. And I knew I was going to have a problem getting my nursing license because they don't really look fondly upon people that are trying to get a license to take care of other people's lives that have been driving drunk. Yeah, they don't really like that. So I knew I was going to have to go to meetings because of that as well. And so when I came back to the program and I started going to meetings, after I saw that really hot guy in that Wednesday night meeting and had that shift, and started going to meetings for myself, I started bringing Kyle and Hamilton. because I didn't have anywhere to take them. I didn't have anybody to look after them. So I would come to the meetings with my kids. And as they got older, that's just what we did, man. And they grew up in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. Thank God. So fast forward to I'm 8 years sober now. I've been married in the program. I got divorced from Jamie, left him way before I got sober. I'm about almost a year sober, and I'm on my 9th step. And I get a call from the Torrance Police Department, and the detective, I was actually on the way to taking my nursing school pictures. I was the president of my class, and we were going to take our cap and gown pictures, and I get a call from a detective, and he's like, yeah, is this Anna Magdalena? Yes, it is. We just detective blah, 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 and we'd like you to come down to the Torrance Police Department. We just have a few questions for you. I was like, huh? I hung up the phone, and the vice president of our class, I told her, I'm like, God, I don't know. And she was like, they're not your friends. Like, they're not asking you to come down there to just have a chat. Like, there is something they're going to get you for, and that's why they want to ask you a few questions. And I was like, oh my God. Well, it just so happens that right before I got sober, I had done something that came back. And that's what he was calling me for. And I will tell you that I was not drunk at the time that I committed that crime. And a lot of people ask me that, and I tell them no. But I was morally and spiritually bankrupt. I didn't grow up with any kind of, I lived with my mom until I was 11. When I was 11, I told you, me and Jimmy were hanging out. That was what I knew. I knew nothing of anything else. I didn't know anything about boundaries. I didn't know anything about anything. I was, in high school, my girlfriend was sleeping with the biology teacher. I was sleeping with the football kicking coach. I mean, that's the way we got down back then. And it was not a big deal. It was totally consensual. There was nothing wrong with it. And so that was my background. And so I got arrested, and it was a big deal. And Hamilton and Kyle was graduating high school, and Hamilton was graduating from 8th grade. And Ham went to live with his dad in Colorado for the summer because I thought I was just going to do a part of the time. I didn't actually hear the judge say actual days. Which is a shocker after I'd been there, waiting for, how come I haven't been released yet? And, yeah, that was a bad deal for me. I didn't know, I didn't know anything. I was a year and a half in the program, or 18 months by that time. And, I had been so steeped in Alcoholics Anonymous. I had been so committed to this program and had done everything, the chili cook-off, the roundups, man, I tell you, had a commitment at every meeting that I went to. Man, I talked to people. I was in love with Alcoholics Anonymous. I still am in love with Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a deeper level of love that I have for Alcoholics Anonymous today. But man, I was into it. If you are in this room and you don't have people yet, get some. Get a crew. Do some stuff together. Man, go to the fucking roundup. Drink a bunch of Red Bulls, play spades, do all that. It is something you don't want to miss. And when stuff happens, which it will because life happens, that's your posse. Those are the people that you call. The people that you hang with regularly. Get a good one. I had that, and I went to Linwood for 4 months. And my sponsor showed up every week with some people from this meeting that are here tonight to sit with me for 20 minutes. People from my home group, if you don't have a home group, get one. If this is your home group, I'm so glad to be here, and I'm so grateful that you're sitting here listening to me tonight. A home group is where people know your face. It's like Cheers. Oh my God, did I just date myself? You probably don't even know what that fucking show is. Everybody knows your face, right? That was the tagline for that show. It was a sitcom. yeah, get to know the people, get a commitment, stay close. Because when life happens, those are the people that show up for you. So those are the people that showed up for me. And I'm deeply indebted to the Monday night Hollywood Riviera meeting. It was my home group for the first 10 years of my sobriety. Those are the people that showed up for me. Those are the people that wrote me letters. Those are the people that came. And after that, I got out, and they wouldn't let me take my boards, my nursing boards. I had graduated. They let me graduate because I hadn't been convicted yet. So they couldn't stop me from graduating. But they wouldn't, the State Board of California would not let me take my licensing test. And my sponsor every year would say, oh yeah, your story's not over. You're going to suit up and show up, and you're going to apply to take your test. And I was like, man, I'm good. By this time, I got out, went to the Monday night meeting, and I met my next husband because he was taking a year cake. Yeah, and he was hot. He was super hot, and he was great, man. His name's Robert, and he's still sober today, and he's an amazing person. He's such a good-hearted person and such a love, man. And I did that guy wrong, you know. At 8 years sober, Hamilton, my, at that time, 19-year-old son, who had been back and forth from Colorado, had dropped out of school and had met a gang while he was there the first time when I was incarcerated. He'd been hanging out with them off and on for a few years. They were this Mexican gang. He was shooting heroin, or smoking it, sorry, and meth. And a girl was shot in the head and left in an alley. And Hamilton was facing 196 years. My child. Oh. Guess who showed up for me? Program of Alcoholics Anonymous. Big time. I was on the phone with my sponsor because I knew that I was going to need some help while I was looking Hamilton's case up because his dad was driving to Colorado and he couldn't talk. And I called my sponsor and I said, something's happened to Hamilton and I'm looking it up right now. And while I was reading it, I couldn't finish the sentence. And I hung up the phone. And 10 minutes later, my sponsor was at my house. And like the next day, one of my best girlfriends came over and she's like, why don't we shower today? And the next day she came back and she's like, why don't we go outside? I was fucking devastated. My kids were everything to me because I didn't have a mom. I overcompensated with my kids, man. They did everything. And I was like the hands-on art teacher. They played sports. I was in it. I love those boys. To this day, they are a part of every fiber of my being, both of them. I lost my mind. I didn't get loaded on alcohol and drugs, but I lost my mind. And Robert and I had been struggling for a minute before then. And actually, Robert had done a lot of time. And he was such a miracle to me, like when I met him, because he had lived his whole adult life incarcerated. And so he really could show up for me because I didn't know what was going to happen to Hamilton. And we stayed together for a little while longer, and then, you know, things fell apart, and I left. And, you know, it talks about in the book, in the promises, it says, you know, we won't regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. And I don't, you know, I don't honestly think that that's true for me. I think that there's some things that I definitely fucking regret and that I don't get to be absolved of because I get sober. You know what I mean? Sobriety is not about absolution. Sobriety for me is about becoming more consciously aware of my actions and my behaviors and how they've affected other people. That's what this is about for me. If you're new to Alcoholics Anonymous, thank God we don't become conscious aware in the first fucking meeting that we're in, or none of us would stay here. Right? Do you know how many hurtful things I've done to how many people that I truly love? That I love? I wouldn't be able to stay here. There's not enough Alcoholics Anonymous in the beginning because I don't know what it is. That's what I started to say before. You can't think differently if you're new to Alcoholics Anonymous. You have to do some things here. You know, my sponsor told me that the program, the steps 1 through 12, are a program of exercises done over and over and over. It's a practice. Like going to the gym, like meditation, like yoga. It's a practice, you know, and every time you practice, it gets a little level deeper, or a new awareness comes in, and all of a sudden you start to open up, and this consciousness starts to happen to you. Like, I didn't start thinking like differently until it was like a turnaround. I didn't know that I was thinking differently until I looked back. I didn't know what was happening to me. Again, it talks about it in the book. You know, we rarely see what's happening to ourselves while we're in the midst of it. Yeah, the consciousness piece is huge. I honestly think that sobriety, I think you have to have abstinence from drugs and alcohol to become consciously aware, to start getting those little insights, to start having those little pieces of awareness and start being able to put them together. A lot of people have a moment of clarity, right? Before they're sober, when they first get sober, they have the like, aha, but it's like that, right? Lights out again, and I'm off and running. Like long-term sobriety is being able to put those little pieces together to where it's cohesive, where you start to see things differently. It's the psychic change that allows me to stay sober. It's that connection. And that's really what I think sobriety is about. I think you have to have abstinence, but don't get it twisted. Sobriety is about connection. That's why I say get a posse, get a friend, get a group. They have those chairs at the Alano Club. I don't know if you can still like purchase them, but you used to be able to, and write little sayings on the back. On the back of my chair, I have one because I fucking love AA. I'm a AA cheerleader. It says, get connected and stay connected. Because I really believe that that's what this keeps us here. My sponsor likes to say, I don't know why people get loaded. I mean, we're alcoholics and drug addicts. That's what we do. That's the natural state. But I know why they come back. It's the unconditional love in Alcoholics Anonymous that brings people back. You can train wreck your life, and we will, man, come here, bring it in, right? The worse it is, the more we love you. Twisted. It's about connection. I know that you guys all know this because I'm sure you've all read the book and the doctor's opinion. Stellar read. It talks about the disease of alcoholism. The disease of alcoholism is threefold. That's what it tells me in the book. It's an allergy of the body that Justin explained beautifully. Weird things happen when we start to drink and use. I mean, it just doesn't happen to other people. I learned that in nursing school. I'll never forget, I was taking notes, and the teacher was talking, and she said, blackouts only happen to people with alcoholism or alcohol problems with alcohol. And I laughed, and I looked up to see who else was laughing and looking around. Guess how many other people were? 0. That was news to me. I was shocked. I was like, hold on. You're joking. Like, I blacked out all the time and loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a big mystery. I was so excited to see what happened. What did I do last night? I was not afraid of those. I was just, I'm telling you, I had a great time. It's an allergy of the body. The greater aspect they talk about is the obsession of the mind. Because usually I'm so uncomfortable with where I'm at and whatever's going on at the time that I need to get a little comfortable. I just want to get comfortable, man. That's all I'm looking for. I like to get comfortable real quick. So mixed drinks did not really work for me. I'm a shooter. I like to shoot. Tequila, mostly. I'm not a whiskey drinker, never was. God, when, Justin said something and I thought, oh my God, I remember taking the last vodka tonic I had, and I never liked vodka tonic, but it ended up just being easier to drink at some point. And I took a drink, and I felt it. Like, I felt it. Like, I was like, wow, this is the effect that alcohol has on my body. This is a trip. Like, I felt it, and I felt the ease and comfort, and I knew what it was. There's a third part to the disease, which is the spiritual malady. So I got the physical allergy. I got the mental obsession. I just want to get right. I just want to get comfortable, whatever that looks like for you. You know, you want to be a little taller. You want to be able to talk to somebody. You want to be cool. You want to fit in. You want to be funny. Whatever it is, like, I just want to feel okay. You don't want to think about what's happened to you or what you just did to somebody else, right? That's the mental obsession. I got to get out of this. The third aspect is the spiritual malady. The spiritual malady is a disconnection. It's a disconnection from myself. It's a disconnection from you. And it's a disconnection from a power greater than all that. That's what happens in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting if we're lucky. That's the juju, right? That's the juice. I don't know that when I first get sober. I don't know what I'm doing, right? I'm just trying to get my court card signed so I can become a nurse. That's it. I learned all this stuff as I continued to practice the steps with a sponsor regularly and be of service and do all the things that they told me to do. And then I started to become consciously aware of those character defects that they talk about in 6 and 7 and my participation in those relationships, and started taking some accountability instead of blaming everybody else or making excuses. I can justify and rationalize everything in my life today. I can do it. I've done it. It's scary how fast it can happen, that I start to really believe the things that are actually going on up here. You know, they used to talk about, like, it's a bad part of town. Don't go in there by yourself. Thank you. Into your mind. My girlfriend shared that the other night at a meeting. And it's true. I can convince myself of anything. The mind is a powerful tool. I didn't know any of that when I first got sober. I just kept coming. I just kept doing what they told me to do. You know, get a sponsor, get a home group, start working the steps, read the book. I went to a big book study. Somebody said, go to a big book study where they're reading the book. My home group today is a big book study. It meets every Sunday morning right down in Hermosa at the Rotary Club, 8 to 9:30. It's a workshop. You want to read the book with a group? It's fucking real, man. Those people are for real. We're talking, we're sharing real stuff. We're working steps together. You know, it teaches us how to sponsor other people, because I don't learn really about having relationships with other until I start sitting across the table from somebody and hearing my story and being able to share with them. That's the connection. That's what happens in a meeting. I believe that that is the principle behind step 5, sharing. It's not just talking about my history with somebody. I am revealing myself to you, or they are revealing themselves to me. Like, I'm sharing the most intimate details of my life. That's pretty amazing. To become that vulnerable with another human being that you might not even know that well. Why? Why do we do that? I know why. It's the juice. I'm looking for the hit. I'm looking for the connection. I'm looking for the peace and calm that I once found in drugs and alcohol. That's what happens if we're lucky. It's an amazing process, right? That's a never-ending thing. You can go as deep with this thing as you want to. It's fun. Get into it. If you're here and you feel like you're sentenced to Alcoholics Anonymous, man, hang on and keep coming back, because this is a great ride. If you have drilled your life into the ground, it is not going to get better in the first 60 days. You might feel better, like after you're not hungover every day. You might feel a little relief when you come into a meeting and you get the juice, right? When you get cracked open or you hear somebody else crack open and you're like, oh my God, I know how that feels. Or you're just so sucked into somebody's talk that you're like forgetting about yourself for, a 10-minute share. God, man, that's relief. That's connection. Your life will get better. It will change. My life did not get better at 18 months. I was sitting in fucking Linwood. Not better. Right? But today, I can tell you, it looks nothing like it did back then. I have a life that is unbelievable. The reason that I'm dressed in a suit is because I just came back from a 3-week trip to Vietnam and I had this suit made for me. Fuck yeah. Baller status right here. I'm not playing. My life is good. I don't care what you think about me standing up here right now telling you that, because when I came to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, I couldn't stand any of you. I thought it was pathetic. You're grateful to be an alcoholic? God, that's so sad. Oh my God. I am so grateful to be able to share my life with you. It is beyond my wildest dreams. Hamilton, still in prison, not serving 196 years. Hamilton has been in there for 10 years. His entire 20s, he's been there. My son will be coming home. Yes. God willing, you know what I mean? Like anything could happen, but man, we're looking at a real short time right now, sometime within the next 12 months. He's got 6 years sober from somebody from the Hermosa Beach Alano Club that wrote to him in Colorado, who has never done a day of time in his life. There's a power in Alcoholics Anonymous. There's a power here. It's in you. That's the thing. It's not outside of you. Alcohol is my solution for the disease of alcoholism that I have with me 24/7, 365. It's not going anywhere. The treatment is the connection, is what you get when you come here, when you allow yourself to be cracked open and you just do a few things, right? And you practice. And all these things start to happen, right? There's a power. It's in you. And when you get cracked open, the power gets connected to another power who's sitting across the table from you or next to you in a meeting. It's miraculous. Stay here long enough to find out how miraculous your life can be. It will blow your mind. And the really sad thing is that a lot of people in this meeting won't be here next year. Unfortunately, not everybody that comes to Alcoholics Anonymous gets to stay here. Welcome, man, stay. Don't go. It's here. You can have a whole new life. You can get a life. I thought I had one. Oh my God. I've been to meetings all over the world. It's fabulous, man. I might not even speak the same language, but I know what they're saying. It's awesome. Life is to be lived, man, not just gotten through. And here is the solution. This is what I found in Alcoholics Anonymous. You guys gave it to me just by me being a little bit willing to suit up and show up and give myself to you fully and completely. Not all at once. Sometimes it was like pulling teeth, man. But I kept coming. And I will continue to come because I am forever grateful. I love Alcoholics Anonymous. Thanks for letting me speak.